I was at my local hobby shop and found this deep ocean transport kit from the 1990s in the bargain bin, and it was 12 bucks. So I decided I would take it home, open it up, and see what I could build. And inside, there's everything from the original packaging. And with that, let's get started. The part that really caught my attention in the shop was this spherical main body of the submarine. So this was the main part that I started with. I had a vague idea that I wanted this to be the main body and head of the robot, and that the arms and legs would be built off of this. So I put it together, including these side pieces and the little windows. And there's some parts that go inside of it, but I decided to not use those since you wouldn't even see them because I'm painting the entire thing. I knew I would need somewhere for the legs to attach to, so I'm taking these two plastic caps, gluing them together, and then I will glue them to this chocolate sauce lid, and I'll make sort of a pelvic area for the robot. Moving on to the legs, I'm starting with the top of the legs, sort of the hip area, and I'm using this pump cap lid from a shampoo bottle and this piece of a broken hanger clip. And I'll put them together, and with a bit of modification, they fit together pretty well. I'll then permanently attach them and give it some extra strength with this epoxy putty. For the knee joint, I'm using this wooden bead and then a metal wire, and this will help me attach everything together a bit later. For the bottom part of the leg, I'm just using some various tubes that I had, and then for the feet, pretty simple, it's just a bead cut in half and some other greeblies that I'm gluing down. Once the foot is all put together, I can glue that to the bottom part of the leg. I can then glue the entire leg together and add a few more greeblies, including this little hydraulic that I made with a bead and a dowel. Speaking of dowels, I use a slightly larger wooden dowel as a hip joint, and I slide it into a hole that I made in those plastic caps. I can then attach the legs and see if it stands up on its own. And lucky for me, it does, which is helpful. I add a few more greeblies to the side of the leg because I think they look cool. And the rule of cool is how I build. I also add a few more bits of armor plating using some other airplane parts that I had. Moving on to the arms now, I'm starting with the hands and moving up. This is some random toy that I had, and it's in the basic shape of a palm, so I'm going to use it as one. And for the fingers, I'm using some of these plastic beads. But they're a bit too long right now, so I cut them in half. That method is just so that they don't fly across the room and I lose them entirely. I'm using 3 fingers on top and then 1 thumb. So for the 3 fingers on top, it's 3 of the cut beads, 2 spacer beads. And for the thumb, it's just 2 beads and 1 spacer bead. I can then cut off the excess wire on top, and then using some super thin super glue, I can lock the beads in place. Then I can just add a bit more glue and glue all of the fingers in place. I use a hole punch and I cut out some little plastic circles out of a thin piece of styrene, and I'm using these as little armor plates to cover some of the joints. Then to build the rest of the arm out, I'm using a bead as the wrist joint, and then I add a few more plastic greeblies just to fill up the space, and of course, a googly eye never hurts. Putting together the rest of the arm goes pretty smoothly. I'm using some craft foam, wire, another piece of plastic, a bead for the elbow joint, and another piece of plastic for the upper arm. Using this piece of plastic tubing, I cut out a cool shape, and that will become some armor for the front of the arm. For the shoulder, I'm using this cap from one of those squeezable applesauce containers. I think they look really cool, and I'm glad that I found them because I will definitely be using them in other projects. And these are just some more greeblies from that original kit that I had, and I just add them to, again, make it look cool. I can then attach the arm to the shoulder, and once the first one's done, I can build an identical second one and just make sure that I build a right and a left hand. I wanted an engine exhaust port on the back of the robot, so I took some other pieces from a airplane kit and I will glue them to the back with the help of a craft foam circle that I cut out to help the plastics stick together. And with that, all the main pieces of the robot are fully built. The arms just slide into place with some pins that I added, but I'm going to keep them separate for painting just to make it easier, and I'll attach them later. For the eye of the robot, I'm using this clear acrylic lens and this bottle cap that I cut the top out of, and it fits in there really nicely. Again, I'll also keep this separate for painting, and then I'll glue it on later. Speaking of painting, everything gets a coat of flat black primer and then a dry brushing with a silver dry brush. I do the silver dry brushing over everything, even though in the end a lot of it is covered by paint. It's still a good base for me to work on because I really don't know where the paint is going to go at this point. These are the main colors I'm going to be working with, and I know that this whole top area is going to be color, so I mask it off, spray paint it white, and then I can go in with color, and it just helps the color pop a bit more without having to do as many layers. I went with these blues and grays because, well, this whole thing is built around a submarine, and I wanted to stick with that underwater theme. I was also inspired by the blue digital camo uniforms that the US Navy used to wear that were nicknamed the Blueberries. And of course, these aren't the exact colors that they used, but they're pretty close. So, like I said, I had a few different inspirations while painting this, but at the end of the day, I really don't know what this robot droid's job is, what it does, or what it's supposed to do. So, I'm going to leave it up to you. Let me know down in the comment section below what you think this robot droid's job is, what it's supposed to do, what it currently does. When I've posed this same question before, I've gotten some really cool answers down in the comment section and some really creative ones that I really loved reading. So thank you if you commented on those, and feel free to comment on this one as well. This is also the part of the video where I ask you to kindly like and subscribe if you are liking what you're seeing. I've got a whole bunch of other videos like this on my channel, and if you like this one, I'm sure you'll like at least a few others. I do also have a Patreon. There is absolutely no pressure to join, but if you do, it's a really good way of supporting me directly, and you get some cool perks like behind the scenes footage and a shout out in every single one of my videos. And those shout outs will show up right here during the painting process. I'll have links to that in the description, at the end of the video, and on my channel page. Alright, enjoy the rest of the painting in peace and quiet, and I'll come back in a bit. Okay, now that everything is dry, I can start to glue things together. I can glue the lens into the lens hood and then the entire eye onto the center of the robot. Moving on to weathering, I'm using a brown powder weathering pigment, and I'm still relatively new to powder pigments and weathering this way, but it is a good way of giving a light coat over everything because I didn't want this to be super dirty. I just wanted it to have a light layer of grime over everything. And once I'm happy, I can seal it with some clear spray paint. And because that clear spray paint dulled the eye a bit, I'm using some of this UV resin to try to bring back some of that gloss. I can then reattach the arms and glue them in their final position, and with that, this project is pretty much done. Hey, thanks for sticking around till the end of the video. If you enjoyed this video, please consider dropping a like, consider subscribing. I've got a whole bunch of other videos like this on my channel, and like I said before, if you like this one, I'm sure you'll like at least a few others. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, put them down in the comment section and I'll try to get back to you. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.